Hey guys, this is TheInterloper, and welcome to my playthrough of Tales of Maj'eyal. For those of you who have been around for a few years, it's been a while since I last recorded, but felt like recording today, and this game doesn't get enough recognition, I think. It's a wonderful roguelike, definitely my favorite out of the genre, and if you like Diablo type games like hack and slash with a little more thought put into it, this is the game for you. And I say it's like Diablo, and from the gameplay in the background, it probably looks like it's fairly fast paced. It certainly can be, but the nice thing about this is that time only proceeds as you move or perform actions. So while you're standing still, time is basically frozen. So you can take the game as fast or as slow as you want to, as needed, which is something I really appreciate. So I'll go into more detail on how all that stuff works. This is a very fun and mechanically complex game. Though the degree of that depends on how you want to play, what class you decide to go with, you know. But we're going to start off slow. I just kind of want to introduce people that haven't played this game to this game before, right now. And, of course, if you have any questions about anything or something that I didn't cover or that you're curious about, please leave a comment and I'll gladly answer any questions you have. So without further ado, let's go ahead and start a new game. I think it's better just to show you what it's like in the first place. The game itself is actually, I know, it's still developed by only one person, and that person goes by the moniker Dark God. All praise be to him, our Dark God. But yeah, I'm so thankful to him for putting all of his time, like years of effort into this. It's got quite a history if you want to look into it. I think it used to be a Middle Earth based game before they had to change. We already had to change it to his own original property. But it's definitely gotten a lot of love from him over the years. There's a ton of content available to you, a long campaign, a side campaign, so many different races and classes to choose from. But yeah, here's the character creation screen. Just to let you know, there are a number of different campaigns you can choose from. Maj'eyal is the main campaign here, the Age of Ascendancy. And that's the one most people play whenever they're trying to do, that's mainly what people are talking about when they're doing a run. Infinite Dungeon, it basically is what it sounds like. It's a dungeon you run through with your character until you basically die. I haven't really tried this. Never really felt the need to, because I do like having some story and progression in my game, and there's so many different ways to play this original campaign. I never really felt the need to do Infinite Dungeon. Maybe sometime in the future if somebody vouches for it. Arena, kind of similar case, except I don't think it's not an infinite thing. You actually it does have an end, but it is basically focused around that arena challenge. You're just wave after wave of fights. And then I did do this content, Orcs Embers of Rage. It's part of an expansion pack that you have to pay for. Not that it costs that much. I definitely recommend all of the DLC for this game. Support it as much as you can. It's a wonderful game. If you love it, please do what you can. But this campaign, it's a shorter campaign, but definitely very fun. I recommend trying it at least once. It introduces some new classes that are much different from the ones that you start off with in Maj'eyal. Something to note is that even though you have all these options, you don't see or know about most of these classes and races until you actually unlock them by playing the game. But I haven't unlocked everything yet either, but there is an add-on if you so choose that shows you everything once you play as everything, even some things you shouldn't be able to play, like this construct thing. um, but that's just to give you an idea of what's available here for you to unlock. You start off with all or at least most of these warrior, rogue, and mage subclasses. You might have to unlock some of these, I'm not sure. I think you have to unlock the Archmage and the Necromancer, but you do start off with Alchemist. These rogue classes, I believe you start off with these. Same with the warrior. But all these other ones, Wilder, Celestial classes, Defilers, Afflicted, Chronomancers, there's just so many. I would say it definitely rewards you for playing through the game, even if you fail and die, lose all your lives, whatever. You definitely feel rewarded for playing through and learning the game. It's wonderful. So let's start off with. I'm gonna start off with a character that you would probably try out initially, something that's available to you from the beginning. Let's do. That's a good question. So Thalor is a race that you definitely start off with. They're a type of they're a wood elf basically. They have very good physical stats, particularly with dexterity and strength. Not so great with magic, but if you're going for a warrior class, it's perfect for that. And let's look over here. So you would have all of these classes and Alchemist in the beginning, I'm pretty sure. So I would recommend going for something that you feel like would fit your play style. I don't. Not every class is built to be balanced. They actually do all feel very different, and I do think that all of them are more than good enough to beat the game with, even if I'm not good enough to beat all of them. It really does come down to what you enjoy the most. Especially if you like mages, start with Alchemist. I haven't played one myself, but I haven't played one myself, but it is quite fun from what I've seen other players do. If you like throwing flasks of acid, fire, ice, what have you, and you like having golems on your side, I think it even says that in the description here. This is the class for you. And it also helps unlock these classes as well. Like if you want to play an Archmage later on, Necromancer. But I think we're going to start with a Rogue class here. We're going to try the Rogue. Probably the most basic out of these. There's multiple ways to play this class in particular. Right here, it suggests that you do a dual wielding build. They can also focus more on traps or going into stealth and sneaking around. You can do a mixture of these things, of course. But you can also focus on poisons, throwing weapon poisons. That's pretty popular from what I understand. But I'm not sure what we're going to do quite yet. It's been a while. I think they even changed this class around somewhat recently. My first playthrough was with a rogue. And it was on easier mode, and I still lost. Lost all my lives before I even got to the final boss. But we're going to start on normal. Usually I like warming up with this difficulty, as a more tenured player. Nightmare, of course, is a lot of fun as well. I haven't beaten Nightmare yet, though I've gotten close. I just haven't seriously put in any effort into it. There's just so much fun going through normal and trying out new classes. So we're going to try normal, and if I happen to beat the game with this rogue character, it'll be the first time I've beaten it with the rogue. Just to let you know, the first victory I ever had was with the Temporal Warden class here under Chronomancer. And this is a class I highly recommend if you're new as well and you pick this up early, which you can. It's actually, once we get to that point, I'll tell you. But it comes up as part of the story if you explore around a little bit. But it's great. It's all about time manipulation. You get into melee and ranged a lot. It's a lot of fun. I can't recommend this enough. The other class that I beat on normal was with Bulwark. Bulwark, a lot of people consider it to be a weaker class with a lower skill ceiling. It's kind of true, but if you're playing this on, especially on the lower difficulties, and you get some good gear, you feel invincible as the Bulwark. At least that's how I did towards the end of the game. It's hard to go wrong with a lot of these classes, honestly, but Bulwark really felt powerful. But yeah, Arcane Blade's another one if you like mage classes a lot. Even though it says warrior, they get a lot of the same spells that the Archmage does. And they are also able to fight in melee combat, so they're quite versatile in that sense. But we'll just... I'm just glossing through these. Rogue is a great class. You can also do Shadowblade. I've played Shadowblade on normal as well. The main difference between them and Rogue is that the Shadowblade has a couple methods of casting magic. They tend to be able to teleport around, sneak attack from the shadows. They can manipulate light and dark magic. It's pretty cool. It's I recommend this a lot too if you like the Rogue or vice versa. You know, Marauder is more of a combination of the Rogue and a fighter, or like a warrior class. They're a little more sturdy. They can fight toe to toe a little bit better. But they're not as reliant on hit and run tactics from what I can tell. Haven't played one of these yet before, but and then Skirmisher and Archer, those are your range classes that you start off with. Skirmisher uses a sling, and the Archer, of course, uses a bow. Maybe even crossbows. I can't remember. But that's their main thing. They're very strong. Range is incredibly good even in the higher difficulties because you're avoiding taking damage, and as you play, you start to recognize, like, oh, even if you are a very tanky class and you can take hits, sometimes it can surprise you and you get hit by something that you just can't take. And so that's where being aware of what you're fighting becomes very important. It's just something that you learn, and I'm learning that all the time. It's important to inspect what you're fighting if you believe it's going to cause you trouble. Sometimes they'll even sneak up on you when you least expect it, and that's where I've gotten some of my deaths from as well. Last one I think I haven't talked about yet is Brawler. Brawler is a melee combatant. You use their fists with unarmed attacks to fight. This is another one I haven't tried yet, but I'm thinking that might be a playthrough I'll try sometime down the line. But for now, we're going to try Rogue. I'm going to try it again. It's been a few years since I played this, so I'm kind of excited to try that. We're going to play male, difficulty normal, and we'll just go with the name. Well, if it'll let me type. There we go. Lafius. All right. Let's play with I choose Thalor Rogue named Lafius. Here we go. Okay. The first thing that you're going to see when you start a new game is the skill tree, or your list of skills. On the left here, you've got your stats. These are based initially on your class and race choice. If you saw on the last screen, it tells you like what you get bonuses to, or negatives in some cases, for your racing class. But we also get a few extra points to spend here in the beginning of the game. So for a rogue, usually you want to go with dexterity and strength as well. That gives you extra damage and accuracy. And you can see here too, but definitely very useful. Strength is also good for meeting requirements for equipment. Sometimes dexterity and constitution fall under that as well. It just depends on the equipment. So I would say these 3 stats are our most important ones. We're not going to be using magic or willpower very much. They do help a little bit, particularly willpower, because of the additional saves. Mental and spell saves help you resist attacks from mages and telepaths, things like that. Because it's kind of like in tabletop, where you roll a dice to try and avoid being affected by their skills. So this is kind of important. I wouldn't invest too much of your beginning stats in that, though, as a physical class. Cunning is also a really important one for a thief in particular. You get crit chance from this. I believe some of their skills also scale off of cunning, if I remember. But it's hard to go wrong with this as a thief. We're going to go with... Well, actually, before we commit to anything here, let's look at our skills here. I understand this is probably a lot if you're brand new to this game, but I'll try and explain as much as I can. Please let me know in the comments if you have any questions about this, of course, or if you have any suggestions for me. And this is also... I'm also giving myself a refresher here, too. Poison's great tree. I might end up taking this, but I think the last time I played this class, the poison tree is either different or you had to unlock it. Cunning was a good tree too. But I'm thinking I'm going to play something similar to what I did the first time, if I can, and that's going to be a dual wielding class, as a dual wielder. So we already start off with dual strike here. It's a really good skill, especially if you're fighting a foe that you're expecting to have trouble with. So you attack with your offhand weapon for extra damage, and if it hits, the target is stunned for 3 rounds, and it scales up as you put points into the skill. And then you hit the target with your main hand weapon right after that. So it's a good amount of damage. Notice at the top, it says what you need to get the next point in this. So you need to be level 1. We start off as level 1, so we could put in another point here to make it stronger. And I think that's what we're going to do with our first point, is put in an extra point here. See here, now that we put in the extra point, it goes from 3 to 4 turns for the stun, and we do a decent amount more damage as well. The stamina cost stays the same. So as a thief, most of our skills require stamina, and it's something that regenerates over time. But it's something to keep in mind when you're using skills. You don't want to run out of stamina too quickly in a difficult fight. Also, cooldown. That's how long it takes for the skill to become available to you again after you use it. So what I like to do with the skill is to raise it up to where it stuns for 6 turns before it wears off. That way the cooldown comes off right as the stun wears off too, and then you can reapply the stun immediately. So we're going to try and go for that next level. But each of these skill lines here, you have to pick up at least 1 point in the previous skill to progress here, I believe. Actually, no. I was wrong about that. So you just need to put in a certain number of points in this category before it'll unlock. So for this skill here, Flurry, it's a pretty good skill. You hit 3 times for 71% damage. It's basically double damage at the end of the day. But it says at the top that you need 1 point in the lower talents of the same category. And it also says the level and the dexterity score that you need for that skill. So this should be available to us fairly soon. This is also why it's important to kind of look at the skills that you want before you apply your skill bonuses or your attribute bonuses, because you don't want to put points into something that you're really not going to use pretty soon down the line. So in this case, dexterity is something that you probably want to put in points to, because a lot of these skills require dexterity. Same with cunning. So if you wanted to go through stealth, or down here for trapping, it even tells you some of the time what those skills... Wait, I'm sorry. I just noticed that some of these skills say that they require cunning, but then up here, these require techniques. So technique skills require dexterity. And these cunning skills, of course, require cunning. So those are going to be the 2 stats that are probably most important for leveling up these skills as a thief. So we put in a point into Dual Strike. We're going to also put a point into... that's a good question. I think it really comes down to, do we want to if we want to raise dexterity first or cunning? I think we're going to do dexterity. We're just going to put in 3 points here for now. That way next level we're able to put in a point into the second skill, Flurry here. So we're going to put our next point into Dual Weapon Mastery as well, give us a little bit of an edge. So as you can see here, for Dual Weapon Mastery, the offhand weapon damage penalty is reduced to 40%. But, oh yeah, we can also take out points here too. I forgot about that. So, yeah, we already had a point in this. If you don't like the way that these are distributed, you can take them out by right-clicking. So we can do that. And we wouldn't start off with a point in Dual Strike, even though it gave us that in the first place. But we're going to leave those in. Dual Weapon Mastery is what gives us more damage on our offhand, and it's a pretty significant amount. It also gives us the ability to parry a little bit of damage whenever we get hit. It's pretty handy, especially early on. But it's not a big deal. We're mainly wanting the later skills in this. So like, this is a pretty good skill tempo here. It gives us a few passive abilities, mainly to help us restore our stamina back. But yeah. So we're going to go with these 2 skills here. And I'll kind of go through these more as we play along. We also have, so these are our class skills that we just looked through. There's also these categories down here. I'm sure you're wondering what these are about. These are class skills that we don't start with unlocked. We have to actually unlock them using category points. And like it says here, category points, we get these as we progress through the game and gain levels. There's also like 1 or 2 category points we get as we play through, just from certain story objectives. But these help you unlock these gray colored categories that we don't have access to right now. And but usually this is a very important decision for your character, because not only are these used for unlocking class and generic trees, but they also unlock inscription slots. These inscription slots are for classless skills that they're basically these runes that you pick up as loot when you're fighting, and you can apply them to your inscription slots to give you various powers. They're usually like to heal you or to assist with your debuffing or buffing yourself. They can do a wide variety of things, but most of them are very helpful, and a lot of people like to unlock an extra inscription slot or two to give them that extra bit of versatility. A lot of them are panic buttons, so it's nice having an extra one or two of those. But depending on what you're depending on what you're wanting to do, you might find these extra trees, these extra options helpful to your build. So let's look at this Artifice Tree right here. A lot of people like this tree because in and of itself, this makes your character more versatile, and it gives you a bunch of different little gadgets that you can use if you put points into this. So I would say it's quite powerful. Might be worth the point, the category point, but not everyone is willing to put in their extra points here either. So it's kind of up to you to decide what you want to do with this character. Alright, so now here we go. Generic points. These are your trees that you get from your class, and this top tree is always going to be from your race, however. So the Thalor, no matter what class you choose, you're always going to get this Thalor or racial tree that gives you a certain amount of skills, and the Thalor ones are usually quite good. I'll let you look through these if you'd like. Okay. They're pretty good. I usually like to put in points into here if there's nothing else down here that I want. Usually as a physical character, I like putting in points into combat training as I unlock them if they're useful to me. So whatever armor you decide to use, usually you want to put points into that to make your character more durable. Thick skin is of course always good. It's a resistance to all damage. Accuracy is very good early on when you don't have much agility. And this is it would ensure you don't miss a crucial ability or an auto attack that you need to go off. Just makes everything quality of life better for your your weaker character at that point. We're definitely going to put in a couple points here. Weapon mastery, of course, is amazing. We're definitely going to go for this, most likely. Though we might go dagger mastery. It depends. Actually, yeah, we might just do dagger mastery because of the dexterity requirement, because I don't see us using strength all that often early. So we may just go with daggers, at least in the beginning. And it's quite a good buff here as well to your damage and physical power. So yeah, as you can see, a lot of generic skills, they tend to be passive to your character. But some of these are also active skills or more defensive skills as well. Disengage is being one of them. It's a movement ability. So if you're if you're feeling like you're getting cluttered around and attacked, you can use the skill to jump back 3 spaces, opposite of which way you're facing, I believe. And then you get a movement speed boost right afterwards. So this is an amazing skill to have at least 1 point in. But yeah, like I said, I don't want to be here all day. I've already spent a lot of time explaining all this stuff without even really getting into the gameplay. So we'll talk about this more in a future episode when we level up. But let's, for now, just put in a point into disengage. It's a useful skill. So that's good for now. Let's go ahead and... how do I do this? I think I just click off the screen. So it'll ask you to accept changes. We're going to say yes. And the game officially welcomes you to the campaign. Welcome, Laphius. You are of the Thalaran, the elven race closest to nature. Your people have lived for thousands of years in their forest, rarely taking part in the events of the outside world. Yet when their home is threatened, the Thalaran elves can prove to be fearsome combatants. You have lived a peaceful life and deep in the forest for many years, but lately you have grown restless and have decided to step into the world. You have decided to venture into the old and wild places looking for ancient treasures and glory. You've come to the western side of the Thalaran forest and to the lair of Nargos. Nargos was a steadfast ally of the Thalaran, protecting the western border. But lately he has grown corrupt, even attacking the Thalaran. To the east of Shatur, the Thalaran capital, lies a dark part of the woods. Ever since the Spellblaze, this area has been corrupted. The wildlife there has been transformed. After days of travel, you have found Nargos' lair and entered it. But what will you find there? Alright, and we've started the game right here. So we... I wonder if it's supposed to look like that. Alright, anyway. So this is what the game looks like now that we're in here. So let's move around a little bit. So we are right now suspended in time until we move forward. So our mover character is moving, but now the enemies are also moving too. Have two enemies on screen here, a forest troll and a wolf. So we have some skills down here on the bottom left that we can use now that we're close to the enemy. You can press the number keys, or you can just click on the skill itself, and you'll use the skill automatically if there's only one target. Otherwise, it'll ask you to choose an opponent to use this on. We also have we have our offensive skill here, Dual Strike, that we talked about earlier. We've got Stealth. We'll talk about that later. It isn't something I use a whole lot, but it can be useful when you're exploring around. We have Gift of the Woods here. This is our generic ability. This gives us some extra health regeneration, which is always nice, and some extra healing when we use another healing skill. Definitely a good one to have level up as we get points for it. And then we have our disengage ability here at the end that we just picked up from our generic abilities. Right here in the middle here, those three green abilities, these are our infusions that I was talking about earlier. One of them's a regeneration for a health. Over 5 turns, it'll heal us for 100 life. We have our wild infusion here. This cures us of one random physical effect. Basically, there's a few different types of effects. Physical ones tend to be things like stun, things that are concussions, things like that. There's also mental effects like sleep or I can't think of any specific examples at the moment. It's been a little while, but we'll run into them quite a bit as we're playing through the game. So having infusions like this that get rid of debuffs that keep us from acting are going to be very important, especially down the road. We're probably going to pick up another infusion slot just to get another one of these kinds of abilities. And there's other ones like this too that we can pick up that are even more useful, in my opinion. We also have the healing infusion here. It's a lot like our infusion regeneration here, but unlike regeneration which takes up a standard turn to use, this is instant. If you look under usage speed on the bottom right, it says instant 0% of a turn, so we can use this to heal ourselves and then take our turn as normal, whereas this would give the opponent time to react to us using the regeneration, and they can do quite a bit of damage if we're already in a bind. So this is usually more of a panic button if we need a little bit of healing right away. It has the ability to cleanse wounds, poisons, and disease effects as well, which can be handy. But regeneration tends to be more healing over time, especially as we get better ones later on. But let's go ahead and start this combat. You can choose to just click where you want to move or attack. So if we click on this ogre, he's going to take some damage, and we actually did not take any that time, probably thanks to our parry. They also might have missed as well. But now the ogre here is dead. Now we can attack the wolf, and he is dead as well. And that was a fairly straightforward combat. We see, as we're moving around, you can see that there's other things coming at us. Looks like there's a snake. We just went over our vision, so let's wait. You can click on your character to wait as well. And here we go. What I like to do if there's a spot in between me and a melee opponent is to just wait a turn, so they have to move towards us. There we go. Now that they're right next to us, we get the first strike on them, and pretty confident we can kill or get close to killing one of these creatures right away. As you can see too, the loot on the ground, as we walk over it, we do pick up the loot on the ground, and it goes into a trans-dimensional space that has all of our loot in it. But that is something that we will be able to look through and clear out at every time we exit a level. You can also look at it before we exit the level by going to our inventory screen. See here. This is what we have on hand right now. We don't have much right now. We just picked up some money earlier. But the Transmogrification Chest is something that you get. You don't have it right away as a new player, but early on you get the chest just from doing the early tutorial levels. And once you have this, you are able to turn all of your equipment that you don't want, your junk, into extra money. And that's really nice because you do run out of space pretty quickly if you don't have this Transmogrification Chest. But this is also where you would look at equipment that you want to potentially equip before you would exit a level, in case you find a good upgrade. Back to the game. I usually actually don't use the mouse. I prefer using the keypad that's on the right side of the keyboard. You can move with the arrow keys as well, but the numpad actually lets you move diagonally as well with just a button press. And the number 5 will make your character pass the turn. So that's something I recommend. It looks like this is a regeneration field right here, I believe. If you look in the top left where it has our health, it says plus 3.79. That means that we are regenerating that much health every turn. And the bar below that, the tan bar with 102, is our stamina. And that's how much stamina we're regenerating right there, is 1.07 points per turn. Yeah, and now that we're out of that field, our both our health and stamina regeneration have gone down considerably. So this field is very useful to fight in or to wait around in to recuperate. Oh, I almost forgot. Missed this helmet here. Okay. So let's take a look at that. So we have this iron helm. Unfortunately, we can't wear it because we don't have any heavy armor training. We are only trained in light armor, I believe. Or actually, no, I'm sorry. So light armor you can wear just without the training. The training just gives you extra stats for wearing light armor. But for heavy armor, you do need at least the first point in heavy armor training to wear this. And there's heavier pieces, such as massive armor, that you need even more points in heavy armor training to use. Usually they're very well worth it, but we're probably just going to stick with light armor for our rogue. Let's continue. So we've got another infusion there on the ground underneath the snakes. Oh, we're going to kill those white worm masses. If you look at the bottom here, it has a log with everything that's going on. This is good, something good to watch if you're running into some foes you're not familiar with, or dangerous foes for that matter. Yeah, there's loot everywhere here. Took a little bit of damage there, but not a big deal. It is very important to keep an eye on your health, especially when you don't have much health regeneration, especially early on as well. You may not take much damage in these early dungeons most of the time, but your regeneration is so low that you might not notice that you're getting close to death. That's happened to me before. Alright, so this is a red jelly, and it just missed us. So we're going to try and hit this with a dual strike. So I'm just press the number 3 key on the top row of my keyboard, and it automatically uses that skill, killing it. Oh, that wolf kind of caught me caught me unawares. We're gonna hit that. I believe these worm masses will split off into multiple groups if you leave them alone too long, so they're good to kill. They're not difficult to kill, thankfully, and they don't do much damage. But sometimes they can surprise you. Looks like we explored a lot of this map. When you're not sure where to go and you're not having too much trouble, you can press the Z key to auto-explore, just like that. And your character will explore around until it either finds an enemy or you reach the end of the level. So we're killing that snake. Alright, we're going to press Z again. This is typically how I play the game when especially if I'm not in too much danger. Usually the game is pretty good about stopping when you're about to run into something dangerous. But, you know, your mileage may vary. There are times where you don't want to be exploring willy-nilly like that. Hey, and we just leveled up. Let's kill this worm real quick. There we go. Okay, so we're going to level up real quick. So you can go to your... I pressed escape to get to the main menu there, and if you go to the character sheet, you can press level up. And now we have more points to spend here. Let's go ahead and put in more points into dexterity here. Now we can pick up this point of flurry. Oh wait, I'm sorry. We need level 4. I didn't see that last time. Okay, so we'll have to wait a little while. But now we can also pick up more points in dual strike this level. And what else do we want to do over here? So this wants us to have more dexterity to get our dagger mastery up. So I'm thinking we might just want to do that for now and pick up the second point. So now we have more damage on our daggers. I think getting some extra damage early on will help, especially once we get to the little mini bosses in this dungeon. They're not too bad, but it's nice to have that extra leg up. And for single target, dual strike will carry us quite a bit for the early game. And it's still quite good later on too. We're going to go ahead and accept our changes here. We're going to explore some more. We found some more snakes. Oh, they're kind of surrounding us, but they're not too much trouble. Let them come. There we go. Alright, now we found the exit to the level. Usually I like pressing Z a few times just to make sure I'm not missing anything. But that is the entire level. We're going to end this episode here. But we're going to change the level. I'm going to show you what happens whenever you leave. Like I said before, you get to see the Transmogrification Chest first. It'll say when you close this inventory window, all the items in the chest that you picked up will be transmogrified, turned into money for you. And so we got this wild infusion here. It's a lot like the one that we started with. This middle one that gets rid of our any physical debuffs. I think there's a way to compare, but maybe not. I'm not really sure. I have to look into that. But since I'm not sure, I'm going to click on this so that I can move it to my normal inventory. I want to compare it later, so we're gonna hold on to that. We also got this Shadow Inflictions rune of the Duelist. So this is one that we did not have before. Unlike the inscriptions that we have, this is a rune, and runes are different from inscriptions in that inscriptions have a primal power source. They don't use magic in the strict sense. There are things in the game that are anti-magic, and there are anti-magic playthroughs where you don't use any magical items or runes or anything of the sort. You're not allowed to. There's some strategies regarding that, but that is a build you can do, so you wouldn't be able to use this in that build. But since we're not planning on doing that, we can use runes in those inscription slots, and they can do some pretty interesting effects. So like for this one, this is one of my favorite ones. It'll cleanse physical, mental, and magical effects, and it will give you a shield for however many it removes that gives you blocks a little bit of damage. It's quite good. It's probably one of my favorite inscriptions early on, so we're going to definitely hold on to that. I don't believe we have a belt. We're going to hold on to that as well. We're actually going to wear it, because why not? We'll get some extra mental save and some useless spell power, but that's alright. So this is a wizard hat. It doesn't give us a whole lot, but we'll take the extra resistances and defense for now. We can't use a shield because we don't have training for it. And we have a quiver of elm arrows. I'm not sure. This is one of those things I'm not sure if it works or not. But I believe as long as we wear it, we do get some of the extra stats on here, like the crit chance. But that's something else I'd have to look into as well. We're gonna wear it just because we don't have anything else there at the moment. We're gonna go ahead and click off the screen and continue. Both of these items will now turn into gold for us. Oh, here we go. So we have a quest at the beginning of this level for the Repented Thief. It says, please help me. I'm afraid I lost myself in this place. I know there's a recall portal left around here by my friend, but I have fought too many battles and I fear I will not make it. Would you help me? We're going to go ahead and help him, because usually these escort quests, they are somewhat annoying because the AI is pretty dumb sometimes. But they usually give you pretty good rewards, usually like an extra skill or attributes. So it's worth doing these whenever you come across them. We're going to go ahead and say yes. But that's going to be it for now. It's a pretty long video as is. I just wanted to give you the rundown on the game, show you what it's like. But we'll have, I'll probably do more episodes here pretty soon. Be on the lookout for that. I hope you enjoyed this. I know it's a little verbose, but it's been a long time. So hope you guys enjoyed this. Look out for more. And take care.